Hey yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Brainwash to be Broke, the show where we expose all the beliefs, all the lies, all the scripts that basically we were taught since our young age, since we were born, and what is truly possible. Because I don't believe that people are lacking some type of talent. Most of the time they're lacking skills, but even more, they are lacking the understanding of how a human actually works, the mindset stuff, which is literally is the biggest problem in the marketplace, the biggest challenge that most people are facing. And this is why we are here and talking about those topics, about what is actually truly possible in our world and what people are capable of. So I'm super pumped to have another amazing guest over here, which his name is Beall. We've been working together. We've been doing we know each other for quite a bit, and he is really awesome dude. He is IT guy. He knows a lot about AI. He knows about YouTube. He literally left 20 years of experience in IT firm to go all in on YouTube, which is like completely mind blowing. Also, for so many years working in and climbing the corporate ladder. Oh my god, like where it's so crazy. So, and he was actually able to grow his YouTube channel to um it was 70 million 70,000 or something like that. You've been hitting 75 or
Yeah,
so.
over 70,000
Yeah,
subscribers right now. It's about 72,
70.
73. Yeah.
Awesome. And 20 million views on YouTube.
Mhm.
Very, very cool. So, without further ado, I'm pumped to have you here. And the first questions always is, who are you, Mark? Where are you coming from? How did you get into entrepreneurship? And yeah, just give us a little bit, just a little bit of your stuff, of
Sure.
yourself.
Yeah. Well, Adam, first of all, thanks for having me on here. We've talked about this for a while, and I'm glad it's
Oh
finally
yeah,
happening.
we did.
Um, so a little bit about me. You kind of summed it up. IT background. I knew that I liked computers and I wanted to get into that line of work ever since I was 9 years old when I got my first computer, and then kind of transitioned into that in the workforce directly out of high school. Didn't go to college back then. I ended up getting my degree later on, and that's kind of one of my big turning points is when I realized maybe this isn't the path that I want. That combined with being on a leadership track. Um, but really, I think when it comes to me, like I'm a systems guy. I like to be uh, really deeply involved with thinking about problems and finding solutions. And one of the things that my IT background gave me was that system based thinking. But the biggest gap I had with that is I realized it wasn't enough on its own. I also needed to understand human behavior and psychology. So ever since I've kind of transitioned out of IT, that's been my main focus is trying to understand how people think and how people and why people react to the same way that they do, and sometimes in ways that you think are unpredictable, but they're really not. And trying to marry all these things up and just kind of go from there and take the next step. But I got into entrepreneurship really as I was working in my career. I would do like website development on the side. I worked with my nephew for a while, creating like WordPress sites and Joomla sites, if you're familiar with Joomla. And so like I've always had a taste for doing my own thing, but really took the leap about 2021. So about 5 years ago is when I left my corporate job. And I was on a trajectory to go into, I was an associate director at the time, and I was on my path upward, but I just I didn't feel fulfilled, and I wanted to feel like I was making a difference. So I changed courses.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a journey, right? Like
Yeah.
going from literally corporate um firm to have so many, like, probably lots of successes, because like based on what you've been, like, you've been on the leadership position, so you probably really know what you've been doing, like you've been really good at what you've been doing, and I can see that because like we are working together, we're talking, like we are going back and forth with so many different things, and it's really interesting how when somebody spends enough time developing the real, like, the skills, it's completely like mind-blowing what is possible.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
yeah, so I'm pumped for having the chat with you. Let's go a little bit even before all of that been happening. How was your childhood actually look like when it comes to, I know that you are a Christian. Have you been always in that world, like have you been always led to Christianity, or like even like when it comes to have you found yourself actually like along the way when you've been growing up towards, like, towards the Christianity even more, or how that actually looked like for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I grew up in a Christian household. Um, so my parents taught me one thing really, really firmly, and that's something that serves me still to this day,
Right.
is having faith in God and
Hmm.
believing in God and not relying on yourself for
Yep.
everything, right? So that's continued to serve me throughout my entire life, and I see throughout my life how things have worked out. Like there's
Hmm.
been a lot of times when I was like, I don't know what this is, this this new scenario that's in my life. I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what path to choose. All these things, and
Hmm.
then now I have hindsight and I can look back and I can think, oh well, like that worked out the way it was supposed to work out. Like I
Hmm.
just needed to have faith. I just needed to take action and just go that direction. And it was, I believe, part of God's plan.
Yep.
Um, and to answer your question about, kind of have I deepened my faith in Christianity as I've gotten older? And I would say yes, absolutely.
Hmm.
I went through a period of time, kind of in my early 20s, like late teens, early 20s, where I was kind of a bit more rebellious, you could
Yep.
say, and started questioning things a lot more and trying to figure things out. And so that led me on a path um, to basically do more in-depth Bible study and kind of plug the gaps
Interesting.
that I had in my own understanding about what the Bible teaches. And
Was your
uh,
self-interest, right, to going to that, like, to educate yourself in there?
yes,
Ooh,
100%. And
interesting.
I've always been a firm believer in like continuing education, always learning
Yep.
more, like never being stagnant with what you know. And
Right.
so that's just part of it, was like the faith journey. But what was, do you say why?
Why? Yeah. Why? Why you been
Um,
always like studying, looking for something, to like, like grow yourself or so on? If that even been, at that time, like the observation of yours that you like literally want to grow.
yeah, I think to me, I just see all the things that I don't understand and don't know, and I just
Hmm.
want to learn more. Like I can't. I think that's part of it. I think the other part of it is, as well, as I've seen people that have gotten to a certain point in their life where they said, "Oh, I'm not going to learn anything else," and that's just kind of where they've been
Yep.
stuck. And
Yep.
not only does their education stick at that point, but it
Yep.
feels like their life kind of sticks at that point. And
True. So
like
true.
that's not something I wanted
Yeah.
to experience myself. Like I feel like you always have to be continually improving yourself, continually learning. And I think it's also healthy from a standpoint of like keeping your brain healthy too, because if you're
100%.
continually
Yeah.
exercising your
Yep.
brain, you're continually working
Big
it.
time.
Like there's a lot of benefits to it. So yeah, it's just something and I guess also I've just been really curious all my whole life. So I just want to learn things. I just want to know more.
Yeah, that's the best, literally, because like you can figure out so many things, right? Like when it comes to like being just curious, being genuinely curious, it doesn't mean that you are stupid or something, because like most of the people taking it from the wrong perspective, they think like if they're gonna ask too much questions, they're gonna seems like they are like these annoying people that they like they probably don't understand like how how this whole thing works, so like it's playing with the ego and all of that. So and like we as entrepreneurs, it's pretty normal. Like I'm curious all the time. I'm like asking questions, just even myself and like other people around whenever I can, because this is the biggest growth and the fastest growth, in my opinion.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think kind of tying that back to kind of the theme of your podcast, Brainwashed to be Broke, I
Right.
think there's a brainwashed element to that. And as we were talking about this, I remembered a quote. I want to look it up and make sure I had it accurate. But I think this is one of the things that we're taught, at least we're taught in the United States. I assume it's broader than that. But
Yep.
it's this quote that says, "It's better to be silent and be thought a fool than
Yeah.
to speak and remove all doubt."
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I have some issues with that because
Okay.
that I feel like is one of the big reasons. Like these things get ingrained in our minds,
Yeah.
and you think about that, and it kind of teaches you, well, don't say anything that you don't know about. Don't
Mhm.
ask questions. You don't want to look dumb. Same thing with public education, like in school. It's like, you know, if you take a test, you better know the answers, otherwise you're going to fail.
Exactly.
Right. So there's all these different elements hitting us
Mhm.
that kind of push us the way of not doing what we need to do. Right. Not
Mhm.
asking the right questions, not putting ourselves out there, not drawing attention to yourself. Right. That's another big one. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you gotta be careful. You don't want people
Yeah.
to pay too much attention to you.
Yeah.
Like
To
all
pay
these things
attention,
just
or
really,
if you're gonna say something wrong, then like, because like we are taught still, like we are taught all the time about, like, that there is something wrong or right, which is like, I don't even know if that concept is really true, like being wrong or right, because they are only data, and from there you can just literally go and decide if that's gonna get you closer to the goal or further, and
yeah,
from there you can decide. But like, they are all it's
yeah.
really interesting. I don't
Yeah,
know.
100%. I think, and to your point, I think it depends on two things. I think it depends on context and
Hmm.
perspective,
Hmm.
right? So wrong and right can be, like, well, in what context are you talking about this from?
Yep.
Like, where what are you, like, what are you trying to achieve?
Yep.
Um, versus, you know, also the element of the perspective of the person that you're asking the question to. They
Hmm.
might have a different perspective that might be better than yours,
Yep.
but also might be worse than yours as well.
Yep.
I think that's why it's dangerous to ask people advice about money if they're broke,
Yep.
right? You don't want to get your money advice from people who don't have any money because they obviously have the wrong ideas about it. So those two things are huge. And even like something I've been experiencing lately with AI is asking it questions because I want specific answers.
Yep.
And then it's hedging itself because I'm using certain words. And it's like, oh, well, like for example, I'm like, I want to be able to create content, a lot of content in bulk, right? Because I want it for other platforms outside of YouTube to be able to have more visibility. And it's like, oh, bulk content is bad. I'm like, no, 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 no. You're assuming bulk content is low quality. I didn't say low quality. I just mean a lot of content. And so, like, even having to reframe the AI to where it understands where you're coming from contextually and from your perspective, it's critical. So, yeah, to your point, I think it's just looping everything back
Because
around
if
to,
you think
yeah,
about it, right? Just
yeah, yeah,
think about it. If you say like this is wrong or this is right, you basically killing all other different type of possibilities straight up
right,
there. Like, this is like hard decision. You
right,
know what I mean by that?
yeah,
And like, this is for me, like when it comes to, I don't like to make hard decision, that like the hard decision when it comes to like things that you don't have enough context around, or like you don't know everything in the, like, from like in the world. You haven't studied, I don't know, thousands and thousands and thousands of hours about just one topic to actually make decision like this is it, like that's right. Or most of the people, they don't do that. They just doing the assumptions from so little information, just because they don't, I don't know, they're, I don't want to say lazy, but like, you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah. No, I 100% agree with what you're saying. I think part of it comes too from human psychology in
Mhm.
that when we make decisions, we generally make it from an emotional place first, right? That's been proven. We make it an emotional decision first, and we use logic to justify our emotional position. Okay, if you kind of extend that further and you think about, okay, so from a survival perspective, is it better to depend on yourself for survival or depend on a group of people for survival? Well, obviously, a group of people has more weight than your own opinion. So we see that in groupthink, right?
True.
We see that in scenarios where people influence other people's way of thinking. They could see something and say, like, no, that wall right there is blue, and then everybody else in the room says it's green, and then that person then questions their own judgment and logic and starts to conform to what the group believes, right? Because I think it's related to the brain believes that the judgment of the group is a heavier weight than your own individual judgment. And so then that lets the influence take over. So if you kind of apply that in a broader sense, I don't think people are necessarily being lazy about figuring things out or learning things or getting people's opinions. I think people are just trying to rely on the group more for something that they're not experienced in, and then
That's
just
the
taking
brain,
it at
right?
face value.
In my opinion, like that's the brain and filtering those, like, filtering. We've been studying a little bit about crowd brain and so on. Like you know what I'm talking about when it comes to if those who listening, if they don't know what we are talking about, there is a really good book when it comes to understanding like human psychology and how human make decision, which is called Pitch Anything, which is really interesting book. And I would recommend to learn that book anybody, everybody basically who is like literally diving into these topics. But when it comes to like literally when it comes to the croc brain, which is like the part of the brain that keeps us alive, basically he's trying to filter as many information that are non unnecessary to consume, right? So it's like it's filtering, it's trying to find those basically like those bigger concepts that literally gives you the certainty or like the conviction that this is actually the right way, because like you can see multiple people doing the same thing. So this is like, yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have anything else to that topic?
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of sums it up. I even kind of noticed it in my own kids, kind of like when you say something to them to kind of instruct them, they're like, well, but did you know I found this other person that is online who's an expert at this thing, and what you're saying doesn't. It's like, okay, yes, I get it. You need to, but here's the thing, like trying to instill the tools that they need to be able to come to their own conclusions, I think is super important, versus just, relying on whatever the majority says, right? That was even something that came up with one of my boys. He said, well, the majority of people say X. I'm like, okay, that is a horrible way to actually make up your own mind, right? You have to be able to think and reason for yourself, because if you don't, then that's the
point. That's the point. Like, be careful who you are listening to, because like there are a bunch of people with good intentions, but they have wrong, like bad not experience, what is the word I'm looking for, advices, right? So anyway, when it comes to YouTube, and you've been also talking about like that you have had to start studying like human psychology and so on, how human psychology actually influenced the growth on your YouTube channel?
Oh, that's a great question. I think when it comes to, first and foremost, understanding, there's so many elements to this. I think in the easiest terms, when it comes to YouTube and understanding human psychology and human behavior, I think a lot of people get caught up in the idea of they're trying to chase what the algorithm wants, right? They're trying to figure out, okay, what does the algorithm want me to do, and I will do that. But that's the complete wrong frame to think about YouTube. Specifically YouTube. It could be that for other platforms like social media platforms too, but specifically YouTube, because YouTube is designed to figure out what the viewer wants and what the viewer is looking for, and then serve up content that matches that. So by trying to align with the algorithm, with data and logic, then you're missing the point completely, because your real goal should be figuring out what the person wants to see, what the person wants to hear and know, understanding how people think about things and communicating in that way. And once you do that, the data will reflect what YouTube wants to see, and then YouTube will push your content out to those types of people. But trying to optimize for the algorithm is the wrong perspective. You need to optimize for how people think.
Okay. So before you go even deep into that,
yeah,
somebody who would be interested in starting, a YouTube channel, can you give us the little bit of context around how we should look at YouTube, and how many different ways are on, like, ways of producing content, so we can actually like figure out what strategy would fit our personality, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it comes down to a couple different things. I have this concept I call the content coin, and on both sides of the coin, there are two kind of equally valid sides. One is intent, and the other one is interest. And with YouTube, most of the content that you see, and most of the big creators and all that, they're creating interest-based content, which could be a lot of different things. But let's just take entertainment, for example. They're making content that's entertaining and that people want to watch, and therefore they get a lot of views. And because they get a lot of views, they make a lot of money from YouTube directly, right? So that all kind of correlates. So on the other side of the coin, though, is intent. And intent is more so the type of person that's going to YouTube to learn something, or to fix a problem, or to know more, to understand something. And those two buckets of people are pretty opposed to each other. And people can switch modes and all that stuff. But I think the question that you have to have when it comes to YouTube is when you're starting YouTube, what's your goal with YouTube, right? Because you can do a lot of different things with it. Do you want to be a creator?
Yep.
Do you want to make money from YouTube? Or do you want to grow your business with YouTube? Because those are two very different things. So that's kind of the first question that you have to ask yourself is what do you want specifically? Because to be honest, most of the advice out there that exists for YouTube is how to become a creator and run a creator business, not how to grow a business with YouTube.
What does it even mean? Like having like creator business type of, like, or creator YouTube channel. Like, what is the difference between the creator, being the creator, and then there is the other one that you said? I'm not sure now which one.
Yeah, if you want to have a creator business, or if you want to grow your business on YouTube.
Okay.
So those are the two things.
Yeah, can you give us a little bit of like the contrast between those two?
Sure. Yeah. So when I think of a creator style business on YouTube, that's kind of like the influencer model, right? You're chasing views, you're chasing subscribers, you're trying to get your channel as big as possible. You want your videos to go viral, because the reality is, the bigger your channel is, the more visibility you have, but the more visibility you have, the more money you make from the platform, right? So the more views that you get on YouTube, YouTube's great about paying creators for the number of views that they get on their content. But in order to do that, you really have to prioritize creating content that's appealing to a lot of people, which generally means some kind of entertainment style content. So you can think of people like Mr. Beast. You can think of people like Ryan Trahan, or some of the other big YouTubers that are out there. They're storytelling. They're doing retention hooks. They're trying to keep you interested. They're doing different cuts and angles and all these things. Because the longer you watch the content, the more money they make. The happier YouTube is, the more money everybody makes. Yeah. So that's the one bucket, right? So basically, entertainment style. You want people to watch, and you want a lot of people to watch. The other side, the interest side, is your main focus is like a business. You're trying to help people solve problems. You don't really care about going viral. Obviously, the more views you get, generally the better. But you're really focused on the person that's there for a specific reason. and you're trying to put yourself in front of that person as the expert with that, and help them resolve whatever that problem is or that tension is that they have at that time. It's the same model as a normal business. You're just extending being able to have one-on-one conversations with someone that would, say, for example, walk into your door of your business, to a platform where you can talk to a bunch of people at the same time. So you're not really changing the way you deliver the content. I mean, you're making some adjustments, but it's not like, oh, in order to bring more people into my business, I have to be entertaining, right? That's a lot of what people tend to think, because they think more views means more money, but it's the opposite. You really want targeted content, be able to talk to the person that you're trying to reach, and create content for them. And so again, that kind of goes back to understanding the person, understanding the way they think, and targeting that versus focusing on the algorithm.
The view is probably going to also be dependent on how big of the market is, right? From the business side of, like, when the market, like, when you're serving a huge market, you're probably gonna get even more views because there is more people who are searching for this type of solution, solving the problem.
Sure.
Right? But in the on this other side, the entertainment type of content is probably going to be like mass market type of, like, everybody who likes to, like, just spend some time being distracted and having fun, basically, and such. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I mean, if you look at movies, right? That's the entertainment industry, Hollywood.
Sure.
That's like the big example of a big market. People want to be distracted. They want to be entertained, right? Those are the kinds of that's the kind of content people generally think about when they think about entertainment. It's not just that, but that's like the big example. And then you think about all the people that you can have watching that content if you get it right, and knowing that can translate into money. That's a really big appeal. But on the flip side, if you're creating content that's designed for, say, an IT repair shop, I'll just use that as an example. The type of person that IT repair shop serves is very different, and because that person that they're trying to reach has a problem. They're not looking for a distraction. They're coming to find content about whatever issue they have, like their keyboard's not working, or their monitor's flashing, or whatever it is. And if you can help them solve a small problem, then you're going to build up a trust factor with that person, and then they're going to be more likely to come back to you for larger problems. So that's kind of the balance that you have to play when it comes to creating content, I think, in general, is to figure out what area you're trying to go for. And even like when you're solving problems, there's even that breakdown too between, like you said, on the market. If you're talking about like weight loss and GLP-1s, that's a very big trend right now. So if you're creating content around that, obviously you're going to get more views around it because it's a big problem that people want to solve and it's trending, versus like, IT repair shop or a car dealership or whatever. You're creating content that's targeted and specific, but don't expect to get a bunch of views from it, because it's not designed for that. That shouldn't be the goal.
Because, like, if I'm thinking about YouTube, the whole YouTube platform is basically completely different from other social media. Well, the first question, probably, instead of asking me what I've asked, it would be better to ask, like, why we should even care about YouTube compared to social media. That would be a really good question to start with. But so we can dive into that one. But I want to also say that the YouTube platform seems to me that it's designed to be a search engine, basically a platform. So when it comes to doing, like, the first way of posting, doesn't make as much, like, sense unless you are really, 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 really good at entertainment and, like, being really good at, like, presenting things, and people, like, literally not even searching for any solution, but they just subscribe to your channel to literally be entertained at, like, anytime you post any type of video. Doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, you've got subscribers that are, again, it goes back to the interest. Are they there because they're just interested in what you're talking about, or they're interested in how you deliver things, or they have that interest? And that doesn't translate to sales. I mean, it can, but it's a wider net. So there's not a one-to-one correlation with that. But as far as like YouTube compared to other social media platforms, you're right. YouTube has a huge search component to it. Obviously, it's owned by Google, right? And that's the biggest search engine there is. And so they do optimize their content for search, to be found with search. Like I've got a home improvement YouTube channel. And one of the really cool things that I noticed early on was I had a video that really took off on YouTube. And I found out that the video not only was being found on YouTube, but it was being found on Google's search platform as well. So I had a video that was ranking at the top of the page, right along with a video from HGTV, which is like mine was a video, and then the HGTV element was a blog article. And mine was equal with that, which is insane because I'm a small creator that I had content that is at the top of the page compared to a multi-million-dollar media company, right? So that is just like mind-blowing to me. And so to be able to have that level of visibility with YouTube content is huge, for one. The other thing too that makes it different than other social media platforms is not only that it does have the search component to it, which the other ones don't, but it can also have that virality component to it as well. So you're really able to get the best of both worlds when you create content for YouTube, because there's actually 5 different algorithms. I learned this from Daryl Eves, who's a great coach on YouTube. He talks about there's 5 different or 5 different algorithms on YouTube, and he prioritizes like more of the entertainment style content with what he teaches. But the fact that that there's 5 different algorithms all trying to like promote the content individually and separately and from their own perspective. Well, and once they see the data, then they can explode on those different algorithms.
Yeah. No, finish the thoughts, because like I have a really interesting question. Maybe I don't know if you thought about it, but when it comes to, could you even use like, because like from that point, what when you being able to actually get ranked on Google with that video of yours, in combination with that huge media company, could you actually use that as a leverage also, like when it comes to building different type of videos that you can like literally like pair together and like try to get, like in combination to get more, like, the more views on the topic, for example, and so on?
So are you saying like figure out what's ranking on search and then make video content as well? Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, that's for sure a strategy you could leverage.
That would be interesting, actually.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of ways you can tackle this. It's a huge opportunity, especially because, as many people as there are, it seems like on YouTube right now, the YouTube platform keeps growing. And again, when it comes to like problem focused content, not very many people are talking about it compared to being a creator on YouTube. So it's a huge opportunity. It's kind of to me, it's like a really like a best kept secret when it comes to SEO, because you've got all these people that are traditionally doing all the SEO stuff for blog articles and all this stuff to get ranking, everything. Like, just make a video. Like, that's your easiest path to getting to the #1 spot on Google search, but not everybody recognizes and understands that.
Yeah, you can leverage literally those what is it, like they do the written type of content. Oh my gosh, I forget the name. What is it, like when people are blogs? Blogs. You can use, basically you can research high ranking blogs basically based on certain keyword or whatever, and like pair to it, like take a idea from the blog and just create a video to it, like on YouTube. Nobody will really care who, like, if the creator of the video is going to be different than the person who wrote the blog.
Right.
But because it's super successful, you can see that it's literally ranked in the first, spots. Then you can this is interesting, actually. That's something really cool.
Model success, right? Figure out what's working and then do it. Yeah, exactly. For sure. Yeah.
Very cool.
So I think the other thing too with YouTube content compared to other social media platforms is when you post to, like, say, Facebook and Instagram and these other platforms, you have a shelf life of like 24 to 48 hours, maybe 72 hours, where it's getting pushed the hardest. and then it kind of like goes up and then it dies. And the harder it goes up, the more viral it is, but they all kind of come crashing down at the end of the day. Once that kind of that window is expired, because the algorithms on the other social media platforms are being optimized for freshness. They want to see what's new, what's latest, what's gonna trend, how are they going to get the most views from people. So they're always prioritizing new things. But with YouTube, yes, they're looking for new content, but it kind of depends on what the topic is. What YouTube's really optimizing for is they're looking for different things like how much watch time a video has, how many people are clicking on it. They're looking at all these other data elements, kind of the way they do with search and how long people spend on blog articles and web pages and websites, all these things. Like they're kind of mirroring that with YouTube videos. And it's funny that I have not really heard anybody talk about that specifically, but it's exactly what they're doing. And it can apply to not only just like the problem focused or intent focused videos, but also entertainment style too. Like they're using those metrics to see what's really working, what's not. But on YouTube, they're really good about understanding what the viewer wants to see. So instead of like just pushing content to everybody, like on the other platforms, I feel like the best way to describe it is YouTube is kind of like curating and pulling content that it knows is good and serving it up to the type of person that they think would be wanting to view it. So it's always working in the background to try and figure out who wants to see your content, versus having that shelf life of like 48 hours and then it dies. I've had videos that I've published that got horrible traction in the beginning, like 1 or 2 views, maybe even no views. And then 6 months, even a year later, they just go like this. They hockey stick in terms of views because YouTube finally figured out, oh, I know what type of person wants to see this video, or, oh, maybe it's trending now and there's a big opportunity to push this content out to people. And so YouTube algorithms always looking for that in the background. So it doesn't matter how old your content is, it can still serve you. And if you're focused on having content for your business, it can continue to focus and serve your business as well. So you don't have to continually post content every day or multiple times a day or whatever it is now for like Instagram and all these platforms. You can create like literally 1 video a week and build up a library of content that will continue to serve you for months, even years from now.
Yeah, it's like having an asset, right? The whole
Yes.
YouTube thing is literally a asset. The YouTube, the videos basically, there's no other platform that can do something like that.
There's not.
And
There really isn't.
no.
Yeah.
And most of the time when it comes to the social media stuff, and that's why like I can give some advices on that too, because like I've been having decent success on social media. It's pretty much all about the few first seconds. Like the hook is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But when it comes to YouTube, it's literally like it's completely different. Like literally the problem solving element is the biggest driving source. And also like if you think how many short form videos you would have to create to get somebody to watch 1 hour long YouTube video, it's insane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's important too to tie that back around to context, like what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
When you're creating content on YouTube, yes, your hooks and all that doesn't have to be as strong. Basically, your hook is the problem that you're addressing.
Exactly.
Right? It makes it a lot cleaner, a lot easier. It's like, oh, I'm having problems with my light in my basement or whatever.
Yeah.
Like if you can say that clearly to the person who's looking for that and they say, oh, this is what I'm looking for, I'm going to click on that. That is the hook, right? But when it comes to the interest style content, you have to be a lot more intentional. You have to do things like pattern interrupts. You have to be able to do like visual, hooks and all these different things in order to keep people's attention, because they're
watching,
in a state,
right?
They're in a state of they're either trying to be distracted or they are distracted and you're trying to get their attention, right? So either you're designing to get their attention and keep it, versus you're designing to get in front of the right person with the right content for them to actually want to be able to see it, if that makes sense. So it depends on the context and what your goal is. And certainly all the little things that you can do to help it are important, and they can help, but it's not critical. Whereas if you're doing the creator interest style content, it's critical to get things like the hook right. It's critical to get things like the transitions right and all these different things, these different elements, be a good storyteller, all these different things that the typical person who's just wanting to help other people and grow their business with YouTube, they'd have to, get good at being a storyteller and, being a good editor and all these things. Like, no, you don't have to do that. It can help, but that's not the requirement. The requirement is helping people with your content.
Yeah. How did you get so passionate about it? Like, where did that came from? Because like you were IT expert, you are still really, really, really good at IT and AI and coding and so on. Like, even though like now in these days with AI, like it probably enhance you even more. Like, with the AI like giving you even more and more advantage in already what you've developed over the years. And it's like you are still more focused on the YouTube stuff and so on. Like, why is that? Like, and yeah, I'm so interested in that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the big pulls for that for me is I like helping people. Like I like being able to help people through problems. I like being able to see them grow and improve and all these things.
Yeah.
And so when you focus on IT, you kind of focus on things that are very temporary, right?
Right.
A keyboard's not working, whatever. Like you're helping them, but that's not like really impactful help. And I think that really became clear to me as I advanced through my career. When I started back in 2000, 99, 2000 in IT, it was, computers were more of these things like I don't understand them. And, I'm having a problem. Like the IT people were the heroes, right? You could go and you could help and they would be appreciative of all that. But through a period of 20 years, like the IT person kind of became almost the perceived enemy through that time. It's like, well, why is IT changing my computer? Why is IT telling me I can't do what I've been doing with this app? I need to do a different app. Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? And so like IT ended up becoming the problem for compliance and for different reasons, cost savings, all these different reasons. But it transitioned from like being a hero to being a villain almost. And with YouTube, when I started creating content on YouTube, I filmed a video. I was doing a kitchen remodel and I ran into a problem. There was no information online on how to fix the problem. And so I recorded a video because I figured it out. I recorded a video just to see, to help somebody else if somebody else had that same problem, posted it. And then I forgot about it. And then, I checked on it a month or two later and I had, tens of thousands of views on it with a bunch of people saying, thank you so much. This helped me. I don't know what I would have done without you, all these things. So is that hero feeling back again? I'm like,
Yeah.
well, this is great. Like I can do this and I don't have to be in IT. Right.
Yeah.
So yes, I like the technical things. Yes, I like solving problems, but kind of that moment made me realize and understand, like I wasn't tied specifically to IT. I could help people in other ways. And that kind of was the first step into broadening that horizon for me, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty wild shift.
Yeah.
Because like from IT being more of the guy like behind the scenes, like doing like your thing, and now the YouTube is like being all the time in front of camera, being seen by other people. Like this can actually mess up somebody's head when it comes to being comfortable enough in front of the camera and so on. Like
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
really yeah.
I think that uncomfortability, I think, is just a part of growth, right? I mean, you have to
Ooh,
be
yeah, love
uncomfortable.
it. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And so, again, I've always been huge in terms of personal development, in terms of pushing yourself, in terms of growth and all that. And so I think, going from IT to YouTube is definitely very different. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily different in terms of putting yourself out there, because in my position, you had to go visit people in order to help them. You had to kind of interrupt them. I was helping researchers, physicians, professors, like all these people, because it was at a university. And to go from that, that environment, you're visible, especially once you got into leadership. You had to lead meetings, and I had a team of, ultimately like 30 some people that kind of reported up through me. And so like, it's still a very visible role. It's just now that visibility is amplified, I guess you could say, but just, I can't see the other people watching the content.
Yeah, true.
So it's kind of the
But it can
same
be weird.
thing.
Hey, I'm having like I'm about to record you a video about like how to solve like a leakage problem.
Yeah.
You know
No,
what I mean?
yeah. It is weird. It is weird talking to a camera
Yeah.
versus to a person. Like that's a big thing, that it's kind of a disconnect. But yeah, otherwise, as long as you treat the camera as a person, like you're talking to someone that's on the other
Yeah.
side of it, then that kind of that helps it. But yeah, it's very interesting. I think I think too, when it comes to IT versus YouTube, it's also, there's this other element of me that I haven't really talked about, which is like, I've always been kind of a creative person,
Yeah.
right? I filmed things since I was a kid. Like I was kind of the videographer of the family. I had this big VHS, recorder that I would go and film stuff with. And so
I
like
didn't
that
know
element
that.
kind of ties back as well. And knowing that, from the creative side, like I know Photoshop, I know all these things. So like it kind of marries up everything. And it also helps me practice the new thing that I'm learning and trying to become an expert with, which is like human behavior, human psychology, trying to figure out why people do things the way that they do, and kind of marry up the logic with the emotions. And just to have that holistic picture, now I can see how everything kind of works together, is just, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Acquiring skill since even little. That's interesting. You probably even didn't know at that point that where it's gonna let you. That's freaking cool. I love it.
No
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you were in the spot when you decided to get out from the IT and become a YouTuber, did you have some like was it aligned with what you believe? Like is it like was it like calling for you or like or something like that actually like was there an element of actually like, God telling you to do the shift or
Yeah, I think I don't know that there was like there wasn't like a specific thing of like, oh, this is the direction that I need to go
but
specifically.
did you have a realization that like the corporate ladder is not actually something that you want to be part
Yeah.
of? Or
Yeah.
was it like that you saw like that the YouTube thing actually like taking off and like, oh my gosh, this is way more fulfilling than actually the IT job. And then like I don't have to be at work. Basically, I can be with my kids, with my family, and being able to travel and so
Hmm.
on, which you basically do and enjoying it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So I'm like really interesting, like how this whole thing actually came together.
Yeah, it's kind of all a combination of all those things. I think so when I was working at the university in IT, one of the things always wanted to do was I wanted to actually get a degree. Like I wanted to get my bachelor's degree, and
Okay.
because especially like working in a university without having a degree with just a high school diploma is kind of
Yeah.
like, it's kind of odd, right? So I kind of always felt inferior, and so I decided I was going to go and do that. So I did that as I was in management. I went to night school, online classes, all these
Was it
things in order to
always
get my
your goal?
bachelor's degree. What's
Was
that?
it always your goal, or was it like from
Um,
like parents type of like parents like you to be this type of guy like
Yeah, so my parents didn't care. All my siblings went to college, but I had not. And so, but they were like, that's fine, it's whatever. Like I was actually in the workforce, I was doing what I wanted to do. Part of me was I wanted to prove that I could do it without getting a degree, and I succeeded with that. So that made me feel really good. But I think over the years it kind of weighed on me more, and so it probably just got stronger over time. Of like,
Mhm.
yeah, I want to do this, I want to get this done. Um, and then so I finally did. Right, I finally got my degree. And I remember going into my boss's office, and she's the best boss I ever had. Like she was the one that got me on the leadership track. She advanced me a ton, all these things. So it's not against her. But when I went into her office after I graduated, I actually went to a ceremony, got my diploma and all this stuff. I was so happy, because I achieved this big thing.
Yeah.
And then I go into her office. I'm like, I did it. I got my diploma. I'm so excited. She's like, that's awesome. When are you going to go back and get your master's now? And I'm like, what? Like, I
Yeah.
just got this done.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, but if you want to keep advancing in the leadership track, you need to get your master's. That's like a minimum of what you need. And at that moment, I said, I'm not interested. I told her, I'm like, I'm not interested in doing that. And she's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, I said, I'm just not interested in doing that. I said, that's just the way it is. And so in that moment, I made up my mind that I was on the wrong track. Like that was the moment that solidified that I was not in the right place.
What did you didn't like on being on, like, studying school and so on? Like, what was the thing that you completely hated, like, that you decided to not, follow the path?
Well, I think I don't know it was necessarily the school aspect of it. I think it was more of, because obviously, like, I like to learn, like I like the continuing education pieces and all that. But I think it was more of the requirements that I had to, like the tiers that I had to hit in order to be good enough.
Yeah.
Right. In order to be able to advance on someone else's terms.
Yeah.
That's probably a big part of it. And the fact that I didn't have any breathing room whatsoever to like celebrate a huge life achievement when I'm being told not good enough, you got to keep going. Again, not against her. She's 100% correct in what she told me. She's 100% correct. But it was just that realization, that moment where I'm just like, I don't think I'm doing what I want to do anymore. Yeah. Like, it was one thing when I was fixing problems. It's another thing now that I'm coordinating a bunch of people, playing the political game, in a university and trying to get things done. And so like, that was, obviously I didn't quit right then. Like that wasn't the thing. I actually stayed there a few more years. But it was like the linchpin, you could say, that really changed my thinking. It was like, okay, what am I trying to do here? And that was really what solidified it for me.
Prior to that, you haven't really been looking for any different type of like income or something like that would change the trajectory of your life or start making money different way and so on. Like you've been dialed in or like completely focused on basically the IT, right?
Yeah, up until that point, yeah, 100%. It was all IT or IT related things like website development, things like that. Yeah, so all in that field. Certainly not human behavior and psychology, right? That was something I never thought I'd be interested in.
That's a big pivot, actually. Like completely different story.
Yeah, but it was kind of like the missing piece for me. It's like, I don't understand this. Like I don't get it. I don't understand why people react certain ways when I say things like, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like there's this element of like, I didn't mean it that way. Why did they take it that way? Or I'm trying to convince someone that my way is right. How come they don't see it this way? Or all these different elements. And so like, that was kind of the big missing piece for me. It's like, well, I got to figure out why. Like, is it just random? Does it just not make any sense? And it's like, no, there's patterns to it. It's just different. It's not logical. You have to appeal to the emotional side. And so seeing that, now I feel like I have a holistic picture of what it takes to be successful. And it would serve me very well going back to that type of an environment, because I could be able to lead people better. I could influence people more effectively than I could previously. Yeah. But that's not really what captures my interest. Like, it's not, I want to make more of an impact. I want to make more of a difference. And I figured out some very critical things when it comes to YouTube that can help a lot of people. And so that's kind of where my focus is right now. Obviously AI's in the mix and all these things, but they kind of all lead back to the YouTube platform, because I feel like that's the biggest opportunity for people. And everyone's kind of just not aware of it and kind of sleeping on it, or doing it in a way that's not going to work for them. So
yeah, so true. Like because the AI can actually help you in both sides. It doesn't really, it's, you can decide between each and pretty much like use it for either YouTube or either IT and do more of that, right?
Yeah.
But also you mentioned something when we've been chatting lately. What was the thing that you wanted to bring up?
Was it about obscurity?
Fight obscurity, yeah.
So one of the things that I've always kind of been chasing is trying to figure out like what is the thing that separates people that are successful from people that are not successful. And I've heard different variations of what it takes, like taking action and putting yourself out there and all these things, right? That it's kind of, those are the key elements. People that just continually take action, are generally the people that will be successful versus the people that don't, right? But for me, like I like to dig into things more. It's like, okay, yes, but why? Why is that? Because in my mind, if you just keep continually taking action, but you're doing it in the wrong place, it doesn't matter anyway. It's like saying, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire someday. I just need to figure out how to dig ditches faster. Or I need to, you know what I mean? I need to dig more ditches. Like I can't stop. I can't sleep now because I got to get more done, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, that doesn't make complete sense either. So just taking action isn't the key to it. There's something deeper here. And I think I figured it out. And I think what it is it's a matter of what everybody's doing at the end of the day is in order to be successful, you have to fight obscurity, which means if you're not known, then you're never going to be known. You're never going to be successful. You're never going to have what it is that you're trying to get, because it plays out in multiple areas, not just with online business, but if you think about it, if you're trying to get a job somewhere, then you're unknown, right? So how do you become known? We have to fill out a resume and you submit your resume. Yeah. That's how you become known. You may or may not get the job, but having the resume in place and submitted is a requirement, because otherwise you're just, nobody even knows about you. So you're obscure. Like it's just a huge unknown. And so it's the same thing with building a business or selling a product or whatever. Yeah. The requirement is you have to put yourself out there. You have to make yourself known. If you're not ever found, you're never going to be successful. And the thing that people avoid the most is putting yourself out there, right? And because that ties back to things like what we've learned in school, like make sure you have the right answers for your tests. If you don't, you failed. Yeah. What are people going to think about you? Don't draw attention to yourself, all these things, right? But that's the critical piece that people have to be okay with, is putting themselves out there, fighting obscurity. And by doing that, you'll learn things as you go, and all these other pieces will fall into place. But if you don't ever tackle that, it's never going to happen, just because you're an unknown. So fighting obscurity is huge. I think that's the key. That's kind of where I've landed.
100%. I agree on 100% on that. And just to that, exactly to that. Have you ever experienced the long silence after you build the first funnel?
or publish the first video or whatever it is? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Holy smokes. I literally go back back to the time when I started with literally building funnels and so on, like building websites, and oh my gosh, you build it, they're gonna come.
No, they're not going to go because they don't know about it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was so funny. And then oh my gosh, nobody's coming. Nobody's even visiting the websites. What I'm going to do? I spent so much time building this crap.
And then what happens? Then you say, well, we'll post about it. And you're like, well, I did post about it. It's still nothing. It's like, well, how many times did you post about it? It's like, well, once or twice. It's like, that's not enough. Nobody's going to come to it. Or it's like, well, why don't you run ads to it? Oh, ads don't work, or it's a risk. It's going to cost me money, and it's not going to. It's like, but those elements are fighting obscurity. They're making it known that people have to know about it in order to be able to go to it.
There was a person texted me recently, and because I did a post on Facebook when I get it, once I get it back. Once I when I basically launched the new profile, and there was a lady messaging me, or I don't know. Anyway, she was messaging me that she's launching a new product or something, new offer, and I was like, the first question was like, okay, so what is the plan of launching it? Because if you are launching and you are a beginner and you are launching the first product, I want to see what is the launch plan first, then I'm gonna talk.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm gonna post it once.
Right. I know. Yeah. And it's not, it's funny because we are on the side that we see it clearly, but if you don't know it, it seems logical. It seems logical. Because look at it. It's just if you going to
be launching some type of offer or something, and I have you in my friends, I should probably know that you are something launching. If not, you're not doing enough promotion.
That's
Like,
true.
you know what I mean? Like, I cannot
that's true.
see anything, and so I'm like, you are launching something, really? Cool.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So
Yeah,
to
for
the
sure.
point, it's so true.
And I think that's also true that that's a good point, because I think a lot of people get into, starting an online business and making money online and passive income and all these things that sound really good and that are absolutely true. But what happens is people, especially beginners, will get into programs that are designed to help businesses scale.
Yeah.
And they don't understand that scaling a business is not the same thing as starting a business.
Yeah.
And when they do things like they buy a course on how to do a launch, or they buy, a program on, whatever it is, a lot of those times that they get into those programs, and then they say, oh, wait, I actually have to have a Facebook audience for this, or, oh, I have to have an email list for this, or, oh, I have to, right? Because it's a prerequisite.
I know.
But what happens is when you talk to the scaler, you also attract the beginner.
Yeah.
Right, because the desires are the same, and the pain points a lot of times are the same too.
It's true. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, but the other thing is too, I've learned recently, and I think this is also true, is the more I've done this, since I've done this for so long now, I've realized, like, we see people selling parts of the solution, right? Like, oh, you need an email list. Okay, that's the thing that you need, or you need this, or you need that, right? And I think that's for a couple of reasons. Like, one, if you try and sell someone everything that they need, they're not going to buy it, because it sounds like, for one, it could be too overwhelming, right? Because it's like, oh, I need all this stuff. Do I really need all this stuff? So then they're not going to buy. The other reason is too, is if you are selling everything, not only is it overwhelming, but it almost like devalues you as an expert too, because it's like, oh, well, I know how to run a sales team, and I know how to run a YouTube channel, and I know how to run ads, and I know how to, and while all those things may be true, people don't want to buy from a generalist. They want to buy from a specialist. It's just kind of like with a doctor. You don't, if you have a specific condition, you don't want to go to a general physician. You want to go to someone that knows that specific condition that you have in order to not have it anymore. Right. So it's kind of the same thing. But the one thing that I've realized too is, like, on the flip side, is if you're going to sell a solution, right? If you're going to sell a part, right, like everybody else does, you have to have the whole worked out yourself. Like, in order to sell a part, you have to have the whole. And that was kind of an eye-opener for me, because knowing that, all this time I've been accumulating, like, knowledge in these different domains and these different areas and all this stuff, my domain of expertise is YouTube and IT, but YouTube for sure. And in order to sell YouTube, though, like sell that as a coaching program or whatever, I have to have the entire business, for the most part, fleshed out. Like, what's my sales conversion process? What's my funnel look like? Do I have email follow-ups? Do I have content leading people to the funnel? Like, all those things have to be in place. Like, you have to have visibility. You have to have a way to collect money. You have to have a way to fill. You have to have all these elements together, even though you're just solving one piece of the puzzle for somebody else. And I think that's the thing that we see when we see these programs that are designed to fix one thing. We see these things, and then we see the person selling it. We're like, oh, that must be all we need, because that's what they're an expert in. But there's, like, it's kind of like the iceberg, right? You see the tip of the iceberg, but there's a lot below the ocean. And certainly I feel like there's a way of doing that where, like, you don't have to have everything figured out, but you have to have, like, the main pieces figured out. You have to have it where it flows together so that it works as a machine versus not. And you have to, whatever your sticking point is, like, you have to figure that out, and then you have to be able to move on. But it's just kind of interesting to me to see to see that.
Yeah, lots of stuff changed once I saw the business from the bigger perspective and actually understand what is necessary to have everything, like what is the pieces to have in the business, and then from there you can, like, that's why, like, when when we've been introduced to, like, to principles and so on, that was a big thing for me to actually, like, when you build a business on a rock, basically, which are principles. They never change, right? Because like if you're going to be focusing on strategies or tactics, they always changing, and from that spot, like from that lens or from that top of the view, when you see the real pieces that actually like makes the business successful over like long period of time, then it's pretty obvious what you should be focusing on, what you should be building, and what you should do like to make it successful, right? And
Mhm.
also like when it comes to when you've been sharing that there is like not a lot of things when it comes to not lots of people actually focusing on the beginners, and if they do, then most of the time all of those programs are pretty much whole automated. They are not even like they don't want to like deal with it. Do you know why, or
Yeah.
why is that?
Yeah, I think because for a beginner, there's a lot of things that people have to work through when you're a true beginner, right? And there's a lot of skepticism as
Yeah.
well. So I think in general, while the beginner pool, like true beginner pool for starting a business, is the biggest pool that there is, it's also the pool of people that aren't able to afford very much when it comes to that, because it's not really the main thing. It's like a side thing. They're kind of diverting their income to building something else. Totally fine. But that is the reality. And then the other thing too is the way marketers position programs. It's like, this will fix all of your problems. And then when it doesn't fix all their problems, then they feel like it's a scam or they've been taken advantage of, or whatever. So there's a lot of elements to it, I think. But I think in general, it's because beginners have their own unique constraints or only unique things that they have to work through, and it tends to be a lot. So solving one specific problem for them is not it's not necessarily everything that they need, and it can just be difficult. So in general,
It's
I think that's
crazy.
why it is.
It's
Yeah.
crazy to like go and spend some time around beginners, and you will
Mm.
see how big of a difference, or how big, like huge progress you've done since you
Oh
started.
yeah.
Holy smokes!
I know. Yeah. Yeah. It's a
So
huge difference. Yeah.
crazy, so crazy.
Yeah, and I always used to think too, coming from IT, I would think, oh well, the skill is the main thing. Obviously, like you have to have the skill first, and then now the longer I do this, I'm like, skill's not that important,
Yeah, the thing is that for the beginners, usually it's not even about the tactics. It's
Yeah,
literally it's the brainwashing. Like
it
literally, it's
is.
the belief mindset. How they think about life, how they think about money, how they think
Yep.
about like execution, how they even think about working, because so many people when they starting a business, well, when they starting, or when they even like when they are not even starting, they just living their life basically working in corporate job, they don't even know sometimes what is truly hard work. They don't even know what does it mean to work. It's really
Yeah.
interesting because like, and I can see even from in some of those people that we actually like being around um already, and they are like in like advanced already, and they understand a business, and not really like low level, right? And it's like it's really interesting because like most of the time what I can see is that people actually do they are not comfortable to do enough volume to actually get the
Yeah.
results they want. It's
Yeah.
very interesting to see that, and that's
Yeah.
literally all coming down to um, if they understand what is like, if they know how to work hard, what does it even mean? Because like everybody can say, "Oh, I'm working hard." Yes,
Hmm.
show me that. Like,
Right.
show me how hard you work, because
Yeah.
like I work pretty much every day, 12 hours a day, like literally dealing with lots of stuff when it comes to business. I cannot stop, and this is fine because like I
Hmm.
became workaholic type of thing, and like I think that most of the business owners are this way. And I can see like lots of people are just like spending so much time and just doing. because like
Yeah.
they believe or they are scared of if they're gonna stop, they going to lose the momentum.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I think too. So there's a saying that goes something like, if entrepreneurship is the only way to make money, or the only job where you trade 40 hours for working for someone else to 80 hours working for yourself or whatever, right? Something like that, right?
Yeah,
So it's kind of
yeah,
like puts it in perspective, right? It's like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to have all this free time. It's like,
yeah,
not really.
yeah.
At least not in the beginning. And I think you can build towards that. Like, I think it just depends on what your goals are.
Yes.
But I think that's also one of the reasons why I'm big about building assets and things that like last and will continue to build on themselves versus, doing things that you have to continuously replenish, which to me, that's social media content. It's a never ending hamster wheel that you have to continually be on in order to continue to stay visible. That and ads. So one costs all of your time to create, which is the organic social media content. And then ads, if you don't want to spend the time, then you're spending the money to stay visible.
Yep.
YouTube's weird in a good way, because it's the only platform where you can create content and it just continues to just work, right? So the amount of time that you spend investing in creating the content for YouTube will continue to pay off a long time in the future and will compound.
Oh,
and
I would add to it actually. One more platform. Guess which one?
One more platform that works like that.
Uh-huh.
If anything, I'd say Google, but what platform? Podcast. Yeah. So like podcast episodes, like on Spotify and all those things. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So the difference I see with podcasts compared to the type of content that I'm talking about with YouTube is that with podcasts, yes, people might be attracted to a podcast because they want to solve a problem, but the problem may not be very painful, right? So they might be interested in fixing the problem. They're willing to listen to an hour-long podcast because they have more of an interest in the subject than they have pain in the subject. Whereas if you're creating content that's really truly problem focused and you're designing it to get in front of the right person at the right time when they're actually saying, no, like my arm hurts, what do I do to fix it? They don't want to sit through an hour-long podcast to maybe get the answer. They want the answer, right? So those are the people that are ready to buy. And that's the type of content that you have to create initially, and you can kind of spread out and get into these other formats. But I think the mistake is going to the opposite extreme first.
Yeah.
When it comes to like trying to really make sales with content, like you should have, if you're doing podcasts, which podcasts are great, right? I'm not saying they're not, but you also need to have kind of that layer of content that's designed to convert as well. Right. So that way your podcast can lead people down the path. If you don't have that, then you're kind of losing out on the visibility that you're getting from the podcast, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. It seems like that the podcast is more like value based. So people are coming here because they saw probably you or that's very interesting actually.
Yeah, they're interested in the person. They're interested in the topic.
Interested in the topic, and probably looking for value that's going to help them grow their business. So they're not really aware of the problem. They're more like looking for some nuggets that can help them to actually, like, for example, to do something better, or maybe some break out moments. Is it the word?
Yeah, their main interest, I think, is knowledge and understanding. Yeah, not there's not as much urgency in solving the pain. Like, they might know about the problem, but they're just trying to learn more about what would it take to solve the problem, or this area that I'm trying to go down. Maybe there's an alternative to it, like that kind of a thing, versus like the urgency. So it's kind of the same thing with launches. People talk about like launches, and they say, the more you build up awareness of a launch, the better it pays off in the end. And they take the movies in Hollywood, for example, and they say, look, how long movies are promoted. They'll come out with a trailer a year before the movie's ever released in the theater. So obviously, the longer you can, promote a launch, the better. And I think that's true, but I also think it depends on what you're launching. If you're launching something that's designed to solve an immediate problem, then I don't think having a long delay, it makes a lot of sense, because you're losing out on the people that have that problem that need it solved right now. Yeah. Right. you are building up anticipation for the people that are interested in solving that problem. So it really depends. So it's like, I kind of go back to the doctor example of, it's like, what if you went to the doctor's office and you said, my arm hurts really bad. I'm not sure what's wrong with it, but I got to get this fixed. And the doctor goes, oh, just wait 6 months. I have this amazing thing coming out that's going to solve your problem completely. You're not going to wait for that. You're going to find another doctor to solve that problem now, right? Because you're in pain. And so I think it depends on how much pain you're in terms of like what the right mechanism is. And so that kind of also goes back to like, what's the right answer? Is it black? Is it white? Is it yes? Is it no? And for me, the way that I see things is it kind of just depends. It's kind of in the gray. It's like, well, what are you trying to achieve? What's the scenario? What's the context? What's the perspective? And then depending on what that is, that's the direction. Like you have to understand that in order to know what direction you're trying to head. Because there can be multiple right answers. It just depends on what it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah. The good thing is also like what you can do exactly what we do. Basically recording podcasts and then putting it on YouTube, right? And then like you can put it also like leverage the whole platforms. But my main focus, and I don't know about you, but my main focus is basically 2 platforms: podcast and YouTube. I don't even bother about any other social media anymore, and especially not after the experience that I had with losing my account. So
Right. Yeah.
like, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And there's so many stories of that. So many stories of people losing their accounts that they built up, and it's just
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't build a sustainable business like that.
Totally. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mark. That was amazing.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This is great.
Great topic. We had really I had a bunch of fun in here. Enjoyed it so much. We have still like there is a topic of the Christianity, which I wanted to go also into, but I believe that that's gonna be a good episode for another one, because like there is gonna be lots of things that we can go for, and like how business and even the history a little bit, like how you feel about it and like what you believe in it. So either way, I appreciate you being here. I have just 3 rapid fire questions before I let you go, that I'm asking every single time to everybody. And so I'm gonna start with the first one, and that is, what is the one book that changed the way you basically see a business, or that provided the most impact on your business?
I think there's one book that just stands out to me, which is Influence, The Power of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. And the biggest reason why that still continues to stand out to me to this day is because it opened my mind to understanding how people think. And that kind of set off the whole journey down, human behavior, human psychology, and all that. Like it was very eye-opening. So
it's really good.
Yeah, it's really good. So that's definitely a must read, and then you can kind of go from there. There's a lot of other good books too, but that's my number 1 pick.
Very cool. So, and the second one would be, what is the one piece of advice that you would delete from the internet that is completely wrong?
That you have to create content every day.
Yeah.
You don't. It's completely wrong. Yeah. If it was one thing, it would be that.
Very good.
Because it's not true. Like anyway, I could get more into that, and we kind of touched on it, but that's one piece of advice I'd say.
Yeah, it makes sense. And the last one would be, if this would be your last interview you've ever done, what would be the message that you would like to leave behind you?
Oh man, I'd say always keep searching for the truth. Always keep looking for the truth. That's something, especially in today's world, like it feels like the truth is very elusive, and it's up to interpretation. And so I think everyone needs to try their best to learn what the truth is and pursue it.
Keep being curious, guys. Thank you so much, bro. And we'll talk soon. Bye for now.
All right. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it.